pleasant day to each and everyone, especially to our dearest senior high school learners. Today, we will bring you another meaningful experience as learning continues here at Salida TeleRadyo. This is your teacher host, Teacher Jorin and Luisan. Our teacher broadcaster, Teacher Marisa C. Bason, will deliver you essential lessons in bread and pastry production and C2. Are you ready? Get your modules and focus your attention now to Teacher Marisa as she tackles the different fillings, coatings, and sidings for cakes and its application.
Good day, learners and listeners. Welcome to another lesson full of knowledge, skills, and experience. I am your teacher broadcaster, Teacher Marisa C. Basong from La Filipina National High School. Join me as we start another fun and exciting lesson in Bread and Pastry Production NC2. Make sure that you are comfortably seated and be ready with your paper and pen for the note-taking in the lesson proper. Let's read first the objectives. At the end of the lesson, you are expected to, letter A, identify the different types of icing or frosting. Letter B, explain each type of icing or frosting. And letter C, discuss and elaborate the steps in icing or frosting a cake. Which lead us to our most essential learning competency, identifying of fillings, coatings and sidings of cake and its application. Please watch the different pictures of the different types of icing and frosting. Do you love to eat cakes? Why is it that almost all occasions, cake is always served? What have you observed the kind of cake on the table? We will be learning later on why we love to serve cakes. Before we will proceed to our lesson proper, let us answer first the following questions for the pre-tests. Please observe honesty in answering the questions. Identify what is described in the sentences below. Write your answer in your notebook. Number 1. It is made of sifted powdered sugar, milk, and superior butter. Again, it is made of sifted powdered sugar, milk, and superior butter. Number 2. This type of cake icing is achieved using a cold heavy whipping cream and sugar. I will repeat. This type of cake icing is achieved using a cold heavy whipping cream and sugar. Number 3. This type of icing dries up into a hard outer shell. It is also one of the easiest to dye with edible colorings. Again, this type of icing dries up into a hard outer shell. It is also one of the easiest to dye with edible colorings. Number 4. It is made of buttercream frosting and a good quality cream cheese. I will repeat. It is made of buttercream frosting and a good quality cream cheese. Number 5. This is made of egg whites, added with cold water and granulated sugar. I will repeat. This is made of egg whites, added with cold water and granulated sugar. Number 6. A popular heavy frosting, easy to sculpt and work out, and it is made of marshmallow and other ingredients. Again, a popular heavy frosting, easy to sculpt and work out, and it is made of marshmallow and other ingredients. Number 7. This frosting is made up of melted chocolate. Probably, this is the easiest cake frosting to make. I will repeat. This frosting is made up of melted chocolate. Probably, this is the easiest cake frosting to make. Did you get a perfect score? But anyway, let us reveal the answers later. I will now give you the background of the lesson on identification of fillings, coatings, and sidings for cakes and its application. Cakes with fillings, icing, and/or frosting always seem to add a little extra to the treat. There are many cakes filling or coating types that can be used. There are also some points should be taken into consideration when choosing it. First is, consider the flavor of the cake and be sure that the filling will complement the cake's flavor. Number 2, take into account the storage of the cake. Do not select a filling, frosting, or icing that requires refrigeration when it will not be possible to refrigerate the cake because of its size. Number 3, if the cake will be exposed to warm temperature, do not choose a filling, frosting, and/or icing that will melt. And number 4, if the cake has to be made a day, be sure the filling, frosting, and/or icing will hold for that period of time. So, here are the different types of filling, frosting, and/or icing, and its definition. Number 1, buttercream. It is made of sifted powdered sugar, milk, and superior butter. The quality of butter used will reflect on the appearance, consistency, and taste of your buttercream frosting. Number 2, whipped cream. This type of icing is achieved using cold, heavy whipping cream and sugar. You can also add your preferred extract or flavoring to match your cake's flavor. Number 3, royal icing. This type of cake icing dries up into a hard outer shell. It is also one of the easiest to dye with edible colorings. For number 4, cream cheese frosting. It is made with part of buttercream and a good quality cream cheese. Number 5, meringue. The basic ingredient is egg whites and granulated sugar. Number 6, fondant. It is made of melted marshmallow, adding the rest of the ingredients until you achieve the consistency. And number 7, chocolate ganache. This is the easiest frosting to make. It is made up of melted chocolate. Is it clear, students? Very good. Those are the different types of fillings, icing, and/or frosting for cakes and its application. By this time, let us discuss the steps in applying icing or frosting on a cake. What are the steps? But before that, let us know what are the materials. We need to have a cake board. Cake board comes in all different sizes. Another one, turntable. It is used to move cake easily in making frosting and decorating. And cake decorating knife or icing spatula. These are round blunt knives that are essentials for moving icing around and smoothing edges. So, here's how. First is, start by taping a doily to your cake board or kitchen plate. Place on the revolving cake stand. Number 2, center cake on top of the cake board or kitchen plate. For number 3, doll up about 3/4 cup of frosting into the center of the cake round. Number 4, pour about 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of butterscotch filling into the center of the iced layer. Number 5, set aside the butterscotch top layer for a moment. Place the second layer of cake on a piece of wax paper on the revolving cake stand, top side up. Number 6, return the butterscotch layer to the cake stand and carefully place the second layer, frosting side down on top of the butterscotch filling. Number 7, Gently push the cake down a bit if one side is higher than the other. Number 8. Run the icing spatula under warm running water. Cleaning the knife with warm water will help smooth the icing more easily. And number 9. Once the sides have been frosted and smooth, clean the icing spatula once again. By this time, I would like you to watch this video clip on how to apply icing or frosting on a cake.
After trying so hard to find a wonderful tutorial out there for how to frost a smooth cake and not being able to find one, I made my own. Hi, I'm Lindsay from Life, Love and Sugar, and I'm here to show you how to frost a perfectly smooth cake with buttercream. When I first started frosting cakes, I really wanted to know that I had crisp corners, smooth edges, and there just really wasn't a great tutorial out there to show you exactly how to do that. So I'm going to show you how to do that today with my tutorial because I know it's going to give you the perfect cake. To get started, you want to go ahead and have your cake that has a nice crumb coat on it and some frosting. We've got a vanilla American buttercream here, which is what we're going to use to frost our cake. And the first thing we're going to do is frost the top of the cake. I like to use a 1-cup measuring cup to grab my frosting because I generally think that's a good amount of frosting for the top of the cake. And I like to use a 9-inch spatula. And we're just going to smooth this frosting out around the top of the cake. And as you're working, be sure to push it off towards the edges. We're going to get the top of this as smooth as we can. We're going to end up having to smooth it again later, but it's always nice to have a smooth base to start with. We're going to take our Wilton Tip 789, it's an icing tip, put that in our large icing bag. Go ahead and fill it up really as much as you can because you're going to need a lot of frosting. Try to apply even pressure as you work your way around the cake. We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up to the top. It's really helpful to have a turntable for this step so that you can kind of hold your icing bag steady and turn the cake on the turntable. And you can add as much frosting as you need. You may need multiple layers for a taller cake. You may need fewer for a shorter cake, just whatever you need. I like to make sure to add one more layer here. The reason for that is we want to have a lip of frosting that sticks above the top edge of that cake. We're going to use that to give us nice sharp corners, and if we don't have plenty of frosting there, we're going to have trouble with that. Now that our frosting is on the sides of the cake, we want to take our icing smoother. This is an Ateco brand, and I actually find that this one really is the best. I really like to rest the bottom of this on my cardboard cake circle as flat as I can so I know I'm getting a straight edge. The other thing to keep in mind with this is the angle. I like to do about a 20 to 30 degree angle as I'm frosting this. I also think that actually helps make a much smoother side there, and it actually helps smooth out some of the air pockets that you can get in your frosting. I would say this is about medium pressure. You want to make sure you're kind of digging into this frosting a little bit. We're actually removing a good bit of the frosting that we added, but it gives us a chance to fill in any gaps from where the frosting was added. So you can see here, there's some little open areas and even some of these little air pockets. We're going to continue pulling frosting around so that we can fill all these gaps in. Now if you notice that for the most part, you've got full coverage, but there's just some small areas down here that are open, you can definitely go back with your offset spatula or even with your piping tip and add frosting where you need to. You don't necessarily have to put frosting everywhere because as we pull frosting around again, it'll fill in some of the gaps. Just get enough around there that you'll be able to kind of pull it around and work with it. So now we're going to keep smoothing the side of our cake, pulling that frosting around, getting those gaps filled in. Tighter that angle is, the better you're going to actually smooth those over. The next thing we're going to work on is the corners. This is actually where it's kind of a make or break with your smooth cake. The better the corners, the better it looks. Let's take our offset spatula. I like to make sure it's nice and clean before I start. carefully bring this frosting in, and you want to try and get right level with this cake. So try and keep an eye on where the level of the cake is. So it's a tight angle, and we're going to work from the outside in. Get rid of that frosting, and every couple pulls, you want to clean this thing off and make sure it's nice and smooth and ready to go. And this is where, as I mentioned before when we were adding the frosting to the sides, where it's important to have the frosting up above the edge. Because if we didn't have this raised up above the edge, we'd actually end up with gaps here, and so you wouldn't get as nice of a corner. You want to apply some pressure to the outside here so that you're working the air pockets out and smoothing things out, but you don't want to push down so hard that the frosting here slides down. So keep that in mind. So now at this point I like to kind of give it a look and make sure the sides are even and the way I'd like for them to be, straight up and down, because you can still go back and fix any imperfections at this point if you see them. All right, we're looking pretty solid. I like to remove excess frosting that's left around the base of the cake, and I like to use my offset spatula to do that. So once that's done, we're ready for our secret trick. Paper towels. You definitely want to make sure that you have a smooth paper towel. The Viva brand is the only one I've ever found that is smooth like this. This actually has one side that's a little bit bumpier than the other, so we want to make sure we're working with the smooth side. Just set that right on top. This is where you're going to use your fondant smoother. Even though we're not working with fondant, we're using this to make it nice and smooth. So we're going to start here applying kind of a light to medium pressure. Not putting too much pressure on the edges, but trying to work out some of the imperfections that might still be in the cake. See how it's looking. Keep going as you need to. Run this along here. It's a little easier to control pressure with your fingers sometimes and have it only in one or two spots rather than the whole size of your smoother. And then the next thing we're going to do is the sides. We're just working our way up and down with the fondant smoother, using the paper towel, making sure we're going straight up and down so we keep those nice straight sides. Same with the corners, okay? If we want those perfectly sharp corners, we can take this and we can kind of work our smoother, our hands, and go around and actually shape these. We can touch the cake and kind of push the frosting together a little bit as we go, and that'll allow us to get some sharp corners here. Now you can really keep going with this as much as you want to. This frosting, if you're using my American buttercream, it is a crusting buttercream. So make sure you're happy with the sides before you move on from this to this. So once you're ready to move on with decorating your cake, grab your piping bag and your piping tip. We're actually using the Ateco 844 piping tip. It's a closed star tip that I like. It's nice and large, and it'll give you a nice swirl on top of your cake. I like to start sort of towards the inside of the cake. Do one rotation, another rotation, and then just kind of finish it off. Now we're going to finish off the cake with one of my favorite things, sprinkles. A good sprinkle mix goes a long way on a cake like this. Just be ready for them to go everywhere. So there you have it. There's my smooth frosting tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. For the full tutorial and video, please visit lifeloveandsugar.com.
Yes, that's it. By this time, I will share to you the tips on how to plate and present cakes. It is important to learn in plating cakes properly. Pastry chefs spend a lot of their time to plate dessert so that it looks good as it tastes. So here are the tips on how to plate and present dessert. Number 1. Be creative with color. A splash of color can bring your dessert to life. Number 2. Combine texture. Adding a different textures to the plate adds excitement to the visual appeal of the cake. Next is compose your plate. There are many ways to compose a plate. Consider your plate as if it is a blank canvas. Next one, consider the vessel. It may seem like common sense, but they consider the experience of eating the dessert when you choose the type of plate. And contrast temperature. There's nothing like pairing a slice of perfectly prepared cake with a cool slice of ice cream. We have also, let it be dramatic. Have a little fun with your cake. Employ tricks to add some magic to the presentation. And don't make it too tall or wobbly. A slice of layer cake looks fantastic standing upon a plate. So, those are the tips on how to plate and present cakes. Any questions? Alright, I will show you some pictures regarding on the tips on how to plate and present cakes. Here are the pictures. What is your comment? Any questions? If none, I will now reveal the answers from our pre-tests. Number 1. It is made of sifted powdered sugar, milk, and superior butter. The correct answer is buttercream. Number 2. This type of cake icing is achieved using a cold heavy whipping cream and sugar. The correct answer is whipped cream. Number 3. This type of icing dries up into hard outer shell. It is also one of the easiest to dye with edible colorings. The correct answer is royal icing. Number 4. It is made of buttercream frosting and a good quality cream cheese. The correct answer is cream cheese frosting. Number 5. This is made of egg whites added with cold water and granulated sugar. The correct answer is meringue. Number 6. A popular heavy frosting, easy to sculpt and work out, and it is made of marshmallow and other ingredients. The correct answer is fondant. Number 7. This frosting is made up of melted chocolate. Probably, this is the easiest cake frosting to make. The correct answer is chocolate ganache. Did you get the right answers? Very good! As a future baker someday, is it important to know and understand the different types and procedures in icing and or frosting a cake? Why or why not? Now let us evaluate what you have learned. Answer the questions honestly and seriously. Choose the correct answer among the given choices. Number 1. Which of the following materials not needed in decorating a cake? Again, which of the following materials not needed in decorating a cake? Letter A. Cake board. Letter B. Turntable. Letter C. Decorating knife. And letter D. Strainer. The correct answer is letter D. Strainer. Number 2. What do you call a sweet coating made of sugar, butter, water and egg, or milk? I will repeat. What do you call a sweet coating made of sugar, butter, water and egg whites, or milk? Letter A. Icing. Letter B. Ganache. Letter C. Frosting. And letter D. Meringue. The correct answer is letter A. Icing. Number 3. It is made by melting marshmallow and adding the rest of the ingredients until you achieve the right consistency. Again, it is made by melting marshmallow and adding the rest of the ingredients until you achieve the right consistency. Letter A. Meringue. Letter B. Royal icing. Letter C. Fondant. And letter D. Buttercream. The correct answer is letter C. Fondant. Number 4. Which of the following type of cake icing achieved using cold heavy whipping cream and sugar? Again, which of the following type of icing achieved using a cold heavy whipping cream and sugar? Letter A, royal icing. Letter B, whipped cream. Letter C, meringue. And letter D, fondant. The correct answer is letter B, whipped cream. Number 5. Which of the following tips in plating cake considers the plate as if it is a blank canvas? Again, which of the following tips in plating cake considers the plate as if it is a blank canvas? Letter A, compose your plate. B, combine texture. Letter C, be creative with color. And letter D, let it be dramatic. The correct answer is letter A, compose your plate. Who got the perfect score? Congratulations! Those who love and planning to bake in the future, it is very important that we know the different types of fillings, frosting and/or icing, and of course, its application. For your assignment, as we advocate time, consciousness, and honesty, make a 3-minute video presentation regarding on the factors that affect the appearance on the decorated cake. Here is the rubric. Presentation is 10 points. The content is 15 points, and a total of 25 points. I hope that you have learned a lot in our lesson today. In our next episode, we will discuss another fun and exciting lesson. I am Teacher Marisa C. Basong. See you again next time only here at Salida La Filipina TV. Good day!
Thank you so much, Teacher Marisa, for that wonderful, clear, and comprehensive discussion. We hope that what you have learned from our discussion today will be put into action. Continue learning by watching the official Facebook page of La Filipina National High School. And be sure to stay tuned at 98.3 Gold FM. Kuyawan mo? Once again, I am Teacher Jorin from La Filipina National High School, and with Teacher Marisa saying, thank you for listening and stay safe, everyone. Until next time.